The following is an exclusive presentation of Lincoln Financial Sports, a member of Lincoln Financial Group.
To quote the old Buffalo Bills coach Marv Levy on a Super Bowl weekend in hoops, where else would you rather be but Walton Arena in Fayetteville, Arkansas? It's their beloved Razorbacks playing host to Kentucky. Alltel's SEC Games of the Week are underway, and it all begins here in the Ozarks. Hello, everyone. I am Tim Brando. Simply put, since 1992, when we broke into divisional play, Arkansas and Kentucky have been the most tradition-rich programs in this conference, with apologies to Florida and LSU, Final Four members of a year ago. And for today, it's the Western Division standings that come into play. A victory by Arkansas could give them a share of the league in what has been a topsy-turvy SEC West. My partner is Larry Conley. And Larry, I think these two teams really are playing vital games. Kentucky can really take a step towards being where Florida is with a victory.
Tim, they could, and you and I have talked about this before the show today. These are two clubs that have really outstanding front courts.
Yeah.
And I think when we focus on the front courts, you got to talk about two guys. Morris for Kentucky and Hill for Arkansas. Hill's averaging 3 blocks a game. That leads the SEC, and Morris is the number 6 scorer. There'll be a lot of matchups today we'll watch, but this one's key.
There'll be a number of alley-oops to Hill, and that could be a big hill to climb. Let's get your thoughts on the keys, Pontiac keys to the game, Larry.
Well, again, I just read them, folks, and here they are. Obviously, for Kentucky, it's got to be the junior league. They're the guys that really carry them right now. Morris, Bradley, and Crawford. And I think on the other side for the Arkansas Razorbacks, we've labeled it hog's breath, because that's what the Kentucky offense is going to feel today with that defense that they're going to face.
You did a pretty good job since we couldn't read them. That was a nice ad lib for a guy that was looking to read it. When we come back, we'll take a look at the lineups. I believe we will be able to read those when we come back to Fayetteville, Arkansas, the first of 2 great games in the SEC.
Lincoln Financial Sports. The Alltel SEC Game of the Week is being brought to you by Alltel, by Toyota, by Sonic Drive-In, by Pontiac, and by Advance Auto Parts.
A capacity crowd here in Fayetteville, Arkansas at the Walton Arena. And just to reinforce it, Larry, I know you know, but maybe we need to allow our viewers to see it. Your Pontiac keys to the game.
The Pontiac keys to the game, obviously the junior league, and that's Joe Crawford, Randolph Morris, and Ramel Bradley, the 3 outstanding juniors for Kentucky. Now for Arkansas, it's got to be hog's breath, because that is exactly what Kentucky's going to feel today on the defense from this Arkansas club. Kentucky's offense has been awfully good, and Arkansas's defense is starting to pick up.
Better than 18,000 on hand today. One key element for Arkansas will be that Charles Thomas is not available. He's in a suit today. Got injured in the game played against Alabama. There's Tubby Smith, head coach of the Kentucky Wildcats. Beginning here, number 10, of course, got the national title in his first season at Kentucky. We look at the Wildcat lineups. Joe Crawford leading the SEC in scoring in conference play. Ramel Bradley, Jasper Morris, another part of that junior league, and of course Bobby Perry. For the Razorbacks of Arkansas, Larry, you're going to love Patrick Beverly. He's got an outstanding all-floor game, leading freshman in the conference. Hill, a shot blocker, and more now, concentrating a bit more on defense. Washington, a very versatile player, and we'll see quite a bit more of Hunter today. Vincent Hunter, what with Charles Thomas not suited out. This jump ball is brought to you by Alltel Wireless. Take the My Circle head-to-head challenge at alltelcircle.com and see how the competition stacks up against My Circle.
Both of these clubs had byes this week. They didn't play on either Tuesday or Wednesday, so they should be in pretty good shape for this game.
Yeah, and the fans had that much time to anticipate the matchup. Our officials today, J.B. Caldwell, Anthony Jordan, and Mike Nance. Hill and Morris will tip it up. And it's controlled to Gary Irvin and the Razorbacks.
And Kentucky's going to open up in a man-to-man defense. Bradley's got Beverly. Good matchup right there outside. As good as the one we'll see inside right here with Hill and Morris.
Hill over Morris. He's looking for his shot a great deal more. Was simply a designated defender a season ago.
And that defending would include shot blocking prowess to rival no one in the SEC.
Indeed. He annihilated LSU in here a couple of weeks ago. I was here to see that game. He was a one-man wrecking crew. Morris back at Hill. And the big men are even. And so is this game.
Crawford's got the responsibility for guarding Sonny Weems, who's been very hard. Kentucky with a turnover, and they lost it.
Crawford turned it over, and then Beverly reaches in and picks up the first foul.
Well, we talked about the big guys at the beginning of the game, and they have been prophetic, at least in showing what they're capable of doing early, as Hill makes a nice move around Morris. And Morris responded in kind with a nice move of his own on the other end.
There's the dump down. Morris is not going to be doubled today. That's a walk. And this is a bit of a transition for Randolph Morris, presenting himself as a strong offensive force, and then understanding that today those double teams won't come, Larry, and those pass outs to the perimeter won't be there. He's going to have to make his own moves.
I actually think it's made Kentucky's offense a lot better, because there were times when the ball went to Morris his first 2 years, it was in a black hole. He's decided to pass that ball out when he doesn't have the move. Today he's made a couple of good moves and one turnover.
Sonny Weems with the shot clock down to 8, gives it up to Irvin. Kentucky's half-court defense usually suffocating. Weems for 3. Sonny Weems, West Memphis, Arkansas, out of Fort Smith Community College.
Was a great junior college player, led his team to the national championship.
High pick and pop. Bradley feeds it back to Morris. He decides to take the shot and gets a little shooter's touch.
You know what happened there? Hill went to help. And when he went to the baseline to help, it left Morris wide open. Morris is pretty good. His range is about 12 feet, and that's about it.
Vincent Hunter, junior from Little Rock. J.A. Fair High School, number 33. We'll see a lot more playing time today, as will this man, Sonny Weems. Pulled down by Derek Jasper. And a turnover. Second one committed by Kentucky. Now the Big Blue, Larry, when you think about it, they've defended well along the perimeter. When they've had their problems, it's been really because Morris has gotten into foul trouble, particularly the last 2 games. Well, something that Tubby talked to us about today.
Yeah, excuse me, Tim. I was going to say that you really, when you look at Kentucky statistics defensively, I mean, they're as good as anybody in the country. They're first in the Southeastern Conference in field goal percentage defense, only 37% for their opponents.
Alley-oop for Hill. We talked about it at the top. That time a bit off target was the pass from Weems, and the Wildcats come away with it.
Good defensive work that time by Randolph Morris.
You think they went over that in the scouting report, Larry?
Oh, yeah.
Morris, the turnaround. Pulled down by Weems. Irvin, who's got a heavy-duty motor, does at times turn it over. A little too often for Stan Heath. Good. That time he found Weems. 2 trays for Sonny, and Perry beats Arkansas down the floor. That's going to be an intentional, and it should be. No malice intended, but clearly he didn't go for the ball, did Hunter?
Boy, good job by Perry running the floor here. Gets out in transition. You can see the grab right there by Vincent Hunter. You know, all he had to do was just make an attempt at the ball, and it would not have been an intentional foul.
Yeah, that's what Stan Heath's talking to him about. Floor balances. That's fundamentals defense 101. And he panicked and wrapped up Perry. It was a good call.
Kentucky's been shooting free throws very well of late. 77% over their last 5 games. As Perry misses his first one.
Yeah, and he shoots 81% at the stripe. Senior, Durham, North Carolina. Highly thought of Hillside High School. Tubby's best teams have always had, Larry, these kinds of guys, role players. Think back through the years. And this guy, I think, fits that that bill.
Bobby Perry going out of the game right now. I was talking about the free throw shooting. You know, he's only attempted 16 free throws in his last 16 games.
Yeah.
Just doesn't shoot a lot of them.
Sheree Thomas checking in for him, number 23 for the Big Blue.
Thomas has been getting a lot of minutes recently.
Morris, not there. Washington keeping alive. Jasper collected the offensive rebound. Another opportunity for Kentucky. Haven't heard from Ramel Bradley yet. Number 3 for the Big Blue. There he is.
Razorbacks in his zone defense. They're matching up out of this. Good move by Hill to get to the corner and shut down Thomas.
There's Bradley. Off the front iron. Beverly clears. Jody Meeks, number 20, is also in for Kentucky, replacing Crawford. High pick from Hill. Beverly will take it. On the tip in by Hill. Attacking the glass.
Pretty offensive maneuver that time by Stephen Hill.
Razorbacks have doubled up Kentucky. They lead by 5. And that's one of those that they'd love to have back. As we go to break, Hill with a body. Bit of a cheap foul inside the painted area. Timeout, better than 4 minutes gone. The nylon song, and then Hill to clean it up. We'll be right back. Let's take a look at our Haviland defensive shield. Stephen Hill leads the Southeastern Conference in blocks, 3 per game. I must tell you, Larry, he has become more than just a designated shot blocker, though.
Yeah, he's really worked on his offensive game this year. And I was talking to Stan Heath in November when we were at Media Days in Birmingham, and he said, going to really work on getting his game better offensively. And it really has improved, even though he is still limited. I mean, I don't think he can go outside 10 feet for any kind of shot, but he's very maneuverable down inside.
I tell you, the big man that can go outside, he's in the game right now, Darian Towns, number 5. He's got a nice baseline extended jump shot. And off the trap, Kentucky's Łukasz Orbzut just into the game, forced to take the timeout. And with the timeout, let's pause for this quick message from the University of Kentucky. There's a look at Tubby Smith, 10-5, Arkansas leading. Some wholesale substitutions. Jody Meeks is on the floor. I mentioned Orbzut a moment ago. Michael Porter, number 1, is in at the point. Perry Stevenson, another freshman of influence, has come into the game for the first time, number 21. There's Orbzut. Nice look to Meeks. And the runner goes down.
Well, he's a good-looking freshman, Tim. Had a good game against Tennessee this past weekend on Sunday. He had 16.
Irvin tied up. And the arrow is to Kentucky as Meeks wanted it more than he did.
Very active player out of the Atlanta area. Jody Meeks at Norcross, Georgia High School. And he did one thing about him. He's good offensively, but he's also very good defensively. Tubby Smith relaying that to us before the game today. Said he's going to get more playing time because he does work hard on the defensive end.
Was a 2 sports star, outstanding trackster. There's Thomas. And a 4-point trip for Kentucky after the tie-up.
Speaking of getting more playing time, how about Thomas? He's getting more minutes recently. Good move that time by Sheree.
And if you think about it, he had a tough season last year trying to rebound from that surgery that he had to remove a tumor from his back after his sophomore season. Rounding into shape and getting more playing time now for the Wildcats.
Now Kentucky switches defenses. They've gone to a 2-3 matchup.
Not much spacing there between Weems and Towns. Irvin will take the perimeter jumper. Does not fall. Cleared by Meeks. Sheree Thomas with Orbzut running the floor well for him. Thomas on the wing. Well, Sheree Thomas knocks down a tray. 7 unanswered now for Kentucky, and they lead by a deuce.
Good ball movement between Thomas and Meeks that time. Hey, Thomas has really picked up his game in the last 3 games. Trying to play much better.
The Wildcats have, in effect, by changing defenses, Larry, slowed down the Razorbacks, haven't they?
Well, they're forcing them to come to the outside. Arkansas is not known as an outstanding 3-point shooting team, but They've got a bunch of guys that can make them out there.
That's certainly not Irvin's MO, and they forced a couple of perimeter shots from him the last 2 trips down.
Now Arkansas's gone back to the man-to-man, and they're going to pick up a foul.
Darian Towns. You take a look at Sheree Thomas going to work here, Larry.
Well, Thomas has been awfully good. As I indicated, his minutes have really picked up. I think they need him more in there. I mean, he's another good senior player. Played 27 minutes against Georgia, 20 against Tennessee.
Darian Towns picking up his first. Washington checking out of the game. Stephon Welsh into the game. So the Razorbacks go small with Welsh, another guard, youngster that Stan Heath's very high on in the game. Towns double. That Kentucky defensive pressure along the perimeter, a real factor out of this zone. They really match up well out of it. Welsh. That's why they're high on Welsh. He can stick that perimeter, Jay, out of Newport News, Virginia, by way of Hargrave Military Academy.
His first start against LSU 3 games back. I'll tell you one thing, Stan Heath, in talking to us before the game today, said a lot of nice things about Welsh.
Yes, he did. Stevenson.
Basket by Harry Stevenson.
Harry Stevenson out of Lafayette High School, Lafayette, Louisiana, Northside High School.
Great shot blocker in high school, is really developing a good offensive game for Kentucky.
Welsh on the floor along with Sonny Weems, Towns, Hunter, and Irvin.
Kentucky has stayed with his zone defense. They're creating problems right now for Arkansas.
It's a very active zone. Welsh again. Towns on the offensive glass. He was fouled prior to the shot.
Foul on the shot.
It goes against Perry Stevenson.
Arkansas doing a nice job of getting on the offensive glass. You know, you lose your designated responsibility for blocking out when you're in a zone. And Arkansas has got a number of big people that can climb the glass, and one of them at the free throw line right now can get up there as well as anybody, Darian Towns.
In for Kentucky, Joe Crawford, number 32.
Joe Crawford comes back in. In fact, wholesale substitutions, 5 for 5. It brings back memories of the old days at Kentucky. We'll take out 5 and bring in 5 more.
Kentucky's played more players in the first half than we've got presidential candidates. And that's tough.
Yeah, but we don't have 2 years to talk about this season. Run down by Bobby Perry. You didn't know I was into political humor too, did you?
Did not.
Ramel Bradley operating at the point. Morris wants it, has it on the baseline.
Nice spin.
Yeah, it was. Beautiful. Right over Hill, taking advantage of the fact that there's no double team coming. Kentucky by 3.
They may have to make an adjustment, Tim. They may have to go down there and start double teaming him, because if he can back Hill down that far, he's going to get a lot of unmolested shots down there.
Beverly. Not this time. Pulled down by Crawford. 3 on 2. Good job of getting back defensively by Arkansas. They do have a mismatch.
Kentucky doing a pretty good job of that break. I mean, they really haven't forced the issue.
Morris with a quick move. Towns comes over to retrieve it. Well, Tubby Smith told us today, Larry, that he feels that this front line of Arkansas is probably as deep. Now, granted, Charles Thomas not available today because of that shoulder injury. But this is as deep a front line as you could probably find outside of Florida's in the SEC. A turnover by Weems.
That zone defense is really hurting Arkansas right now.
Perry, he walked. Fans thought there was a travel prior to that one. 3rd turnover committed by the Wildcats. And the Razorbacks trail by 3. Randolph Morris shows his versatility in the paint. We'll be back. Today's telecast featuring the University of Arkansas is brought to you in part by the Arkansas Farm Bureau.
Well, a lot of Kentucky's offense, at least in this first half and for most of the season so far, has gone to the inside, and Randolph Morris. Look at this nice little move right here. Got away from the double team. A good spin. Good catch here. Maneuver, look. About 12 feet out, and another catch. Watch him take Hill down underneath and then spin into the lane. Randolph Morris off with a good start so far here, Tim, in the first half.
Yeah, and you look at the numbers. 12 of Kentucky's 16 points have come in the paint, and of course Morris accounting for half that. Steal by Morris. Hill with a lazy pass. Irvin gets the rebound. Arkansas one field goal in the last 5 minutes, so they've hit a bit of a drought. Really fortunate to be down by only 3.
Kentucky's going to stay with that zone defense out of this commercial timeout. Now they're going back to man-to-man. They opened up zone and immediately went to the man-to-man on the first cut.
Welsh driving baseline against Kentucky. Fouled by Ramel Bradley, his first. Mentioned it a bit at the top, Larry. This is a Western Division. The Southeastern Conference's Western Division that has been topsy-turvy. Just getting a road win was a very difficult thing to do. At one point, it was the West was 0 for 17 on the road. Arkansas ended that when they beat Alabama, and then subsequently lost to South Carolina on the road. Welsh hits a runner. The Razorbacks sort of typify the inconsistencies of the Western Division of the SEC. They look awfully good at times, but they simply cannot put it together in back-to-back games.
I think what we have basically in almost every conference in the country right now is inconsistency on the part of these teams.
Crawford puts it on the glass. Beverly takes it out of there.
The only one in the SEC that's doing really well is Florida.
Hill was set up, and he took his eye off the prize. Simply took his eye off the ball.
Was a great pass, too. Hit him right in the chest.
6 turnovers now by the Razorbacks. Crawford off the bounce. Well, you got to check him. Somebody needs to defend 32 from the perimeter.
Well, he's the leading scorer in the Southeastern Conference in the games played within the league. He has been shooting threes as well as anybody right now.
With Welsh on the floor, Arkansas sort of moved Irvin into a position of running players through screens. Hunter forced that one a bit, taken out of there by Morris. Well, the tempo of this game clearly with Kentucky early. Bradley finds an open pairing. Threw up an air ball. Morris tries to save it. It was on the end line.
Arkansas's offense. Hill throws it back to the outside. Nice little runner right there and a nice finish. It's Crawford on the other end making the 3. I said Joe Crawford's been shooting threes well. How well? How about 52% within league games?
Yeah, most of the time you see numbers decrease once you get into conference play. With Crawford, it's been just the opposite.
Tim, I told you last night at dinner that I think these 3 juniors for Kentucky that we talked about at the top of the show have to show up every day and night for them to be successful.
Shot clock down to 5. Beverly in traffic. Again, knocked away. Ball still not on the rim, so 2 seconds to shoot for the Razorbacks. And this zone defense has really been a problem. Look at that. They were 3 out of the 5 coming out of the gates. That 3 out of 9 has basically been against this 2-3 zone for the most part. Hill must put it up. Length of the floor,
pass.
Crawford. That's a smart play.
Great look by Derek Jasper.
Yep. Very smart play by the freshman from Paso Robles, California. Small town with really only one high school, and his was fantastic. 21-15. And you really see the frustration and a lot of standing around against this zone for the Razorbacks. Beverly on the wing. That may help get Kentucky out of it, which would be the plight for Stan Heath's club right now.
Well, he's
the way to get them out of this zone.
He's the one guy that will get them out there because Beverly can shoot the ball so well from long range. Arkansas is standing around a lot on offense. Their defense is still pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Kentucky's beating them down the floor a couple of times to get easy baskets, though.
Fans are on their feet. Arkansas lost a couple of wire games against Kentucky a year ago. Let a lead get away as you see Jasper get one from point-blank range.
I tell you what, Jasper took Weems inside and schooled him right there. And a nice pass by Randolph Morris.
Kentucky leads this series 20-7, but they've had some epic battles, particularly in the 90s. And Nolan Richardson had that run of fantastic teams.
Well, those were some great games.
Were they ever?
I mean, as good as you'll ever want to see. Good steal by Bradley.
He's got a trailer, but he'll take it himself. Ramel Bradley, the junior from Bradenton, gives Kentucky a 7-point cushion. Timeout, Razorbacks. So with a timeout on the floor, as the teams discuss strategy, you should too. Get someone to talk to, not at you. Talk to Chuck, Charles Schwab. And I can't think of anyone better to talk to than Larry Conley. What must the Razorbacks do here?
Well, Stan, he's talking to his club right now and probably telling them to take care of the basketball. One of the problems they've had in the last 2 weeks is turning the basketball over. And it's the one thing that Stan Heath complained about to his club. They've had more turnovers and assists in 4 of their last 5 games. You can't do that. You can't do it against good clubs, and Kentucky will take advantage of it and score. But right now, they're giving it back to Kentucky.
Frankly, Larry, we were talking about the big picture of college basketball and the SEC's role in it. And I made the statement to you, I think it's true. Florida, out of all the teams in this conference that are likely to play in March, they're the only lock. A Kentucky win today to get them to 6-2 and another road victory, in my opinion, puts them in that position as well. They take a major step in credibility with a road win at Arkansas before a packed house here today.
Well, what we have not seen, though, is a surge by any of the Western Division teams. We thought at the beginning of the season, Alabama and LSU were going to be the strength in the West. Well, that hasn't turned out to be because Auburn's at 4-4 right now, and they're on top.
Still a lot of basketball to be played. The committee's going to have a rough time with a lot of double-digit loss teams around the field of 65. Jasper, no one rotated over. That's a block. Will go against Beverly. Jasper had all kinds of room. No one rotated over. Just over 6 minutes to play. And a timeout taken. Kentucky seizing control against the homestanding Razorbacks in Fayetteville. Today's telecast featuring the University of Kentucky is brought to you in part by the Kentucky Farm Bureau.
Well, the toughest call in all of basketball, at least to the officials' mind, is the block charge. Watch this maneuver by Derek Jasper right here. Does Beverly move under him? In the opinion of the officials, yes, he did. You got to leave room for the guy to come down. If you move underneath of him while he's moving toward the basket and he's in the air, that's going to be a blocking foul, and that's what occurred.
We mentioned a bit earlier that Arkansas is playing without Charles Thomas today, who injured himself at the end of the game with Alabama when he was hit by Alonzo G on what was a hard foul. They were hoping that he'd be able to go today. But really, this is probably the area of the team where Arkansas is deepest. When you think about Stephen Hill, certainly Darian Towns, Vincent Hunter, their problem has been really the issues of turning the ball over, Larry. They've got, again today, so far, 7 turnovers, 5 assists. So more turnovers than dishes.
Well, it's the one thing that Stan Heath has been complaining about with his club. You've got to take better care of the basketball. The thing about it is he's got some experienced guards out there, Gary Irvin in particular. Right now he's got Welsh out there at the point, handling things, and Beverly off on the wing.
There's Hill. Towns there to follow.
Well, the Razorbacks doing a good job of offensive rebounding against Kentucky today.
There should be, with that front line, a number of offensive rebounds for the Hogs before the day is done. That's a walk. Stevenson lost the pivot foot.
Well, Darian Towns is one of those guys that you're going to look to for some offensive rebounding. As Hill misses, Towns comes right back with that very long reach. And remember, he is 6'10", about 255 pounds, and he doesn't have to jump very far to touch the rim.
No, he does not. Welsh splits the double team as Kentucky traps. Towns goes reversal.
Good back-to-back baskets by Darian Towns.
Interesting to see when Kentucky comes with some full court pressure, the Razorbacks are able to carve it up. Much more difficulty for them, Larry, when going up against a half-court defense.
Crawford trying to take Weems off the bounce, couldn't do it.
Shot clock at 10 for Meeks. All the way to the rack. A strong move, and they're going to wave it off. Offensive foul against Meeks. Player control. It'll go the other way. His first. And Tubby disagrees.
Same kind of play we witnessed just a few moments ago. This one's a charge, a player control. I'm not sure about that. Looked about almost like exactly like the other one.
I think the one difference might be, Larry, that on the first one, you can make a case that Welsh was a bit more underneath the hoop. He was further away from the basket that time, but I agree with you. Just over 4 minutes to play. Beverly runs the curl. Well defended by Porter.
Well, Kentucky, look at that defense.
It's strong, isn't it? Welsh, that's a tough shot. That is a tough shot, but Stephon nailed it. He said he wanted more minutes, and he's earning them right now. 18,000 on their feet. Morris, what a give and go. Porter can't connect. Towns clears. Porter knocks it away. Every pass is going to be under pressure in the perimeter. Timeout. Arkansas making a run. 6 unanswered. It's our Alltel SEC Game of the Week. We hope you're enjoying it. Tim Brando, Larry Conley. First of a pair of games you'll be seeing today over most of these Lincoln Financial Sports SEC stations. Kentucky with a 2-point lead. Let's take a look at our Q Motor Oil Power 25. Vanderbilt, as we predicted last week, Larry, did crack the top 25 and acquitted themselves nicely in the Wednesday game you had at Florida. Alabama is there, and of course Florida at the top spot, and a number of SEC teams between, say, 26 and 50. In fact, you could say it's one of the more athletic leagues in the country.
Well, I think you've got about 5 or 6 teams out there in the SEC that could climb into that top 25 by the time the tournament rolls around. It just depends on who's going to play the best down the stretch. Right now, Arkansas is playing well. 6-0 run. Kentucky hasn't gotten the ball to Morris. He hasn't scored in the last 7 minutes.
Off the curl, Weems.
Boy, has he been hot.
And does he get up the principle of verticality on his jump shot? Meeks rejected by Hill. We're tied at 26. Razorbacks shoot for the lead here. Beverly for 3. The ball was tipped, so no over and back. A very aggressive move by Hill. Bradley. Morris on the offensive boards, and that silences the crowd.
Well, he finally got a basket after about 7 minutes and 30 seconds, and he had to go get it himself on an offensive rebound. 8
points for Randolph Morris to lead Kentucky. And a steal. Jody Meeks takes it away, the freshman from Georgia.
They've moved Bradley out to the point right now, and they've moved Meeks to the wing.
Bradley again gets free. Sonny Weems clears. Stephon Welsh running this offense has been a catalyst for Arkansas since coming in for Gary Irvin. They're able to effectively get Kentucky out of the zone and find open shooters on the wing. Like this guy, Beverly. Hill. Oh, that's a good move. Yes! Drop, step, and lay it down effectively.
That's part of what we were talking about earlier. The fact that Stephen Hill has developed an offensive game. You wouldn't have expected this from him 2 years ago. Morris, that was a very poor defensive effort. He was too much to the inside, and if Kentucky's going to guard him, they're going to have some help on the other side.
And by the way,
you can't play him like that.
Yeah, and you know, Tubby Smith has seen far too much of that from Randolph Morris. The announcers for today's game selected and compensated by Lincoln Financial Sports. Any use of this broadcast without the express permission of the Southeastern Conference and Lincoln Financial Sports is prohibited.
Tim, I got to give Hill a lot of credit, though. He fell on his hip, and Morris was up high like that. And when he felt it, he just simply went to the baseline with that drop step.
He absolutely took LSU by surprise here a couple of weeks back. Hill is a much better offensive force. Hill gambled and got the deflection. Boy, his quickness in evidence on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, he's really taking it to Morris right now.
Arkansas 14-2 run since their biggest lead of 8. And coming up next, you'll see either South Carolina against Alabama or Tennessee, Florida in our All-Tell SEC Game of the Week. Check your local listings for the game in your area. Gary Irvin back on the floor will trigger it in for Arkansas. Welsh remains out there along with Sonny Weems, Hill, and Vincent Hunter.
There went the double team.
Bang!
They got burned.
Stephon Welsh.
Welsh has had an outstanding first half. Scoring and defending.
10 points for him. And the lead is up to 7, largest of the game for Arkansas. Morris.
Nice move. You know, you got to go to the well. The well's still got some water in it.
Yes, it does. Only about a second between the shot clock and the game clock, so the Razorbacks can virtually hold it until the final shot.
Good comeback by Arkansas after being down 7. Turned it back around, and I really think it was Weems and Welsh that got it going.
Welsh particularly at the point. Interchangeable parts. Perry deflected that one. Bradley all the way to the rack. And Bradley wanted to get the foul. No call. And we have come to the intermission. Kentucky led 26-18, and then a 17-4 run to close the half gives Stan Heath's team a 5-point cushion as East meets West in Game 1 of our All-Tell SEC Games of the Week.
SEC Basketball is brought to you by Advance Auto Parts, by Sonic Drive-Ins, by Charles Schwab, by Purnell Sausage, by Toyota, and by Red Lobster.
Fans, follow our coverage of SEC basketball all season long by logging on to lfsports.com. Check out our Toyota Info Center. Toyota Info Center on lfsports.com, your online destination for our coverage of SEC hoops. At halftime, Arkansas with the lead by 5. Tim Brando along with Larry Conley, and Stephon Welsh was a real difference maker. A career-high 10 points since inserted into the lineup after Arkansas had been really throttled by that Kentucky zone.
And they needed some leadership, and they got it from a freshman of all people who stepped in and really kind of carried them. And he was doing it on both ends of the court. Not to take away from our highlight at the top when we were talking about Hill and Morris. They've both had outstanding first halves.
Yes, they have. What do you anticipate Kentucky's response to Welsh might be? Because their defense has really dictated the pace of play in the game.
Well, in the first half, it was the zone defense for about a 6 to 8 minute period that really stifled, I thought, Arkansas. Then they started solving it, really on the back of Weems. I mean, he played so well shooting long range, and then Welsh getting the ball all over the court. I think Kentucky's defense is going to be the key to the game in the second half.
All right, Larry, let's take a look now at our Advanced Auto Parts drive to the SEC Championship. The Gators are leading it yet again. 7-0 in conference play, 20-2 overall. The Wildcats, the other team that has distinguished itself somewhat, and of course two of the most improved teams, Larry, in the conference, Georgia and Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Georgia really has come on very strongly. How about the Western Division? You know, I said jokingly about 2 weeks ago, if somebody goes 9-7, they'll probably win the West. I'm not joking anymore.
Yeah, that's right. And by the way, LSU losing at home to Alabama, you're thinking maybe that's a crusher. Well, they're only a game and a half out in the loss column. What a year it's been so far. More halftime activities coming up. Fans, be sure to visit the Dr. Pepper Fan Fair at the SEC Tournament in Atlanta, where you can get a chance to shoot for $1 million. If you can hit 5 3-point shots in 30 seconds, you may be selected as one of the 2 finalists who will compete to shoot for $1 million from Dr. Pepper during semifinals Saturday on March the 10th. Our score at halftime, 35-30 Razorbacks, the Big Blue contingent anticipating the second half. And let's take a look, Larry, at some other scores.
Yeah, some scores from around the country. Of course, Auburn and Ole Miss will get started in just a little while. You can see Memphis all over Southern Methodist, 88-52, and that's a final.
Around the country, other games played. Look at Boston College demolishing Virginia Tech. How do you stand prosperity? Seth Greenberg's club finding out. And Georgia Tech, interesting, up by 12 over Oliver Purnell's Clemson Tigers in the first half.
And out west, Arizona's up on Washington 17-14. Both of those clubs have really struggled in conference, and Northwestern takes on Wisconsin, a loser this week.
Wow, Londo Tucker, what an outstanding player he's been this year for Bo Ryan. More coming up here at halftime. 35-30 Arkansas. Tim Brando, Larry Conley. It's been a lot of fun. We've seen both teams have runs during the course of this game, and really reflective of the way the game was played, too.
So if you've got runs, you got to have highlights.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's go to them. We'll show you, first of all, the Kentucky Wildcats and what they did in the first half. And Randolph Morris got them off to a good start. Nice move against Hill right here, moving into the lane with that little jumper. He had 10 in the first half. Good shot here by Crawford from long range, and then the kick in the corner over there, and the finish by Sheree Thomas, who played limited minutes but had a good first half. For Arkansas, nice maneuver right here again by Sonny Williams, coming right across the free throw line with that jumper. And then Hill took Morris, schooled him on that baseline move down inside. Darian Towns with a nice follow-up on the Hill miss right here. Offensive rebounding was a key for Arkansas in that first half. And of course, Stephon Welsh, who I thought was a star in the first half, with a nice fadeaway J right there.
Not only that, because if you look at the overall numbers, turnovers again, at one point Arkansas had 7 turnovers, only 5 assists. That changed the points in the paint with Kentucky, with Morris's consistency in there. But Welsh had not only 10 points, Larry, he also had 3 assists. So he really was able to carve up that zone defense that was deployed by Tubby Smith's team. Back with the second half right after this.
SEC basketball is being brought to you by Geico, by Ruby Tuesday, by the new AT&T, by Q Motor Oil, and by GMC.
Tim Brando, Larry Conley back at the Bud Walton Arena. We're in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Charles Thomas, you're talking about a guy that gets about a dozen points, a half dozen or so rebounds. Not available, the junior out of Jackson, Mississippi. A banged up shoulder. They hope to have him back for their next game. And truthfully, he's not been missed because of the outstanding play from the other frontline players. Hill, Hunter, certainly Darian Towns have done a fine job. And really for Randolph Morris, Larry, he's done a good job of staying out of foul trouble too.
Yes.
We should mention that, because he has been in foul trouble in each of his last 2 games. Fouled out of 1.
Well, I think the other part of it, too, is that the offense of Arkansas have been refocused. Stephon Welsh picking it up on the outside has made a big difference for them.
There were only 9 fouls total in the first half. Both teams very crisp on the offensive end as Stephen Hill begins the second half with an easy deuce.
Hill doing to Morris what Morris did to Hill in that first half.
Crawford off the pick. Ball went right off the noggin of Stephen Hill.
Watch Hill again. See, he pins Morris with that body and that outside arm and just wheels to the baseline. Kentucky's going to have to give some help on the other side if Morris is going to play high on the high side of that defense on the post.
Yeah, I'd say the scouting report on Arkansas's low post has to change a little bit. Irvin with a pick. He's got Hill running the floor with him. Alley-oop, pillow.
Nicely done.
Does the big fella run the floor?
Yes, sir. Good pass by Irvin.
Didn't take long to get the Arkansas faithful up on their feet. That's a foul against Hunter. Pretty good move by Bobby Perry. Second foul against Vincent Hunter.
When you run the break, make sure you got some teammates with you. Stephen Hill filling that right lane. Gary Irvin just laid it up there for him. Tell you what, you can just toss it within about 8 feet of that rim and Hill will grab it and throw it down.
You know, the book on Stephen Hill through the course of last season, Larry, when you talk to Stan Heath, was, you know, he really does have some offensive skill. He just doesn't know it yet. A rather passive personality on and off the floor. He was an outstanding defensive player. Thought that was his role, really, for the team. And this year, some of what he did in practice has managed to make it into game action. No, they felt that this was always within Stephen Hill. Only now are we, the rest of us in the SEC, beginning to find it out. That was a tough pass.
There's the backside Hill. Good play by Bobby Perry.
Jasper gives it up to Morris. Jump stop and doesn't get it to roll. Means clears.
There's another missed layup for Morris. He's had a couple of those today.
That's a block against Crawford. And a decent job that time by Sonny Weems of adjusting in midair to not pick up the player control foul.
Well, we talked at the top of the show about Stephen Hill, his ability to play down inside. Watch this nice maneuver. He goes to the middle of the lane. He goes right up over Morris. Here he is following up on the nice tip in, and this time he starts the second half with a nice move on the drop step in there, and then following it up with a good break on the move and the pass by Irvin.
In that win against LSU here a couple of weeks ago, most of, if not all of, his points came on dunks. Very similar to that alley-oop we saw a moment ago. Today, what you've seen are the low post moves that he has. Drop steps and the like, using his feet. Razorbacks by 10. Jasper rejected by guess who?
Irvin's open.
Turned down the shot, decides to drive instead. Kentucky lost it. Out of bounds, it will be controlled to the Razorbacks.
Watch again, down inside. Stephen Hill right there. Now you got to know better not to go up against this guy.
Look at that. And how many teams in the top 50? That's amazing. Nine
teams in the top 50. Now this is in the nation, folks. Not in the SEC. This is in the nation. 9 teams in the top 50 in block shots.
Jasper fouled. Comes down hard on that lower back, but he'll be okay. That is an astonishing stat. You brought it to my attention yesterday, and you think of, obviously, some of these teams, but that many out of one league, that is astonishing.
That means as many shots that are going in, a lot of them are coming back out.
Wonder why shooting percentages are down? That may have a little something to do with it.
And you see Arkansas right there and Kentucky, number 9 and number 20 in the nation.
The fact that LSU is 50th without Tyrus Thomas, it's in itself a staggering statement.
Derek Jasper at the free throw line right now, misses his first free throw. This is one part of his game he really needs to improve.
Hunter picked up that foul. It's his third, so quickly Darian Towns checks in for Vincent Hunter. Jasper comes up empty. That's just like a turnover.
Hill had to come all the way out to get the ball.
There he is, right around Morris. He allowed him the baseline, Larry. Randolph Morris allowed Hill the baseline.
I got to say this, Morris's defensive work is very poor here this afternoon. I got to give Stephen Hill credit, though. He is really taking him to task.
Let's pause for this message from the Southeastern Conference. 43-31. Among football coaches around the country, very few love college basketball quite as much as Houston Nutt. I guarantee you, though, he's talking to a recruit.
There's Frank Broyles, the athletic director here at Arkansas. We had a nice visit with him yesterday.
Sure did.
Another great football coach and a very good announcer in his time.
Absolutely. Worked, the old redhead did, before he had white hair, with Keith Jackson for many, many years. By the way, I had a chance to visit this past summer with Frank, and he's done a tremendous amount of work to benefit Alzheimer's. His wife of so many years, Barbara, passed away tragically of that dreaded disease. And he's done as much as anyone to really institute an understanding of what caregiving is all about. And people that have been, their families have been affected by that know exactly what we're talking about. Bradley in traffic. Loose ball, Towns rips it down for Arkansas. After that timeout, Larry, Randolph Morris is sitting down just after you said what you did. And Tubby Smith took that timeout.
Well, he's upset with him because he's just not guarding inside against Hill. So he's going to go with a smaller lineup right now. Let's see how Kentucky responds to this Arkansas offense, which has been very good here in the second half.
Weems falling away. Right over Meeks. And the lead catapults to 14. 10-1 scoring run. Going back to the end of the first half and into the second. Bradley. They'll need more of that from Ramel.
You know, Bradley shoots the ball so well from out there. I mean, he's a 38% three-point shooter. I'm surprised he doesn't take more of those.
Well, he hasn't looked for it that often. That's his first tray. He has 5 points on the afternoon. Perry is on the floor, along with Sheree Thomas. And Kentucky goes with a smaller lineup against those two bigs down there, both Towns and Hill. Beverly.
That's a walk.
Yeah, took an extra step.
You know what? They contained Beverly pretty well today.
And they have. The 11th turnover by Arkansas. Timeout. Razorbacks by 11.
And welcome back to Arkansas, where the Razorbacks are leading Kentucky 45-34, 15:51 left to go in the second half.
Watch for the Geico College Basketball Campus Tour, a season-long traveling exhibit celebrating the greatest shooters of all time. Go to lfsports.com for more info and find out when Geico will be visiting a college campus near you. Very interesting start to this half by Arkansas, and we mentioned Randolph Morris. I'm not sure when he'll get back in.
Well, I can tell you, in talking to Tubby Smith before the game today, he has been upset with Randolph Morris and some of his defensive work about with some of these bigs in the SEC this year, and that's the reason he's on that bench right now, is because Stephen Hill has just taken him to task.
Kentucky only 1 out of 6 from the floor to open this half. Arkansas scintillating 4 of 5. This is the guy that figures to have to make a few. Bradley barely drew iron, did get his own rebound. And we've got a whistle. J.B. Caldwell.
Yeah, that ball hit the rim. They've got to reset that shot
they've got
clock.
to reset the clock. We're going to check our Dr. Pepper scoreboard. Ole Miss out to a quick start against Auburn. Andy Kennedy's team, along with Jeff Lebo's, the bottom end of the SEC West. We should say this: the bottom end of the Southeastern Conference's Western Division has become a much improved group. Memphis blowing out Southern Methodist today. So John Calipari's team
How about Georgia Tech up on Clemson? Number 25 ranked. Clemson has really been fading recently.
And that's a real shock. I mean, Boston College is an outstanding team. They've only lost 2 conference games in the ACC, unranked because of some early season losses. Arizona, after being spanked by North Carolina, trying to reestablish some credibility for themselves in what is an outstanding Pac-10 conference this year.
How about Washington? I thought it was going to be one of the favorites in that league out there this year, and they're I think only won 2 games in the conference so far.
Well, the ball clearly grazed the front iron, and the shot clock has been moved to 31 seconds. Coming up next, either Tennessee at Florida or South Carolina at Alabama. Our old friend Charlie McAlexander will be watching or working that game for us between Alabama and South Carolina. Perry.
Good ball movement by Kentucky that time. Arkansas came out in his own defense against that out-of-bounds play. Cats moved the ball well.
Pressure, 5-second call.
All of a sudden, Kentucky, a little resurgence here by the Wildcats. Watch this ball movement again. Nice pass down inside, and Bobby Perry right there to nail the jump shot, and they get the turnover on the 5-second call.
Through the years, Larry, most people, I think, across the country in college basketball have always recognized that Tubby Smith is one of the best at changing defenses through the course of the game and changing the tempo of the game. Just that quickly, Crawford hits a big 3. And another timeout forced on Arkansas. It's just a great adjustment made by a veteran coach.
Kentucky on a 7-0 run.
Timeout on the floor, and as the teams discuss strategy, you should too. Get someone to talk with you, not at you. Talk to Chuck, Charles Schwab. I think Kentucky's huddle has gotten the job done in the last few seconds, and really Tubby decided to go small. You know, Stan Heath's got to determine what he's going to do against these changing defenses.
Well, and part of it has to, there are 2 categories here I want to discuss. One is Kentucky's defenses has really picked up. They went with the small lineup, and it's helped them. Because without Randolph Morris in the lineup, they're a little more quicker down inside. And Stan Heath has not been able to inbound the ball against a very tough Kentucky defense. And I think the combination of those 2 things has gotten the Cats back in the game. Now they only trail 45-39.
Hunter triggers it in to Beverly. Stephen Hill is out there along with Sonny Weems. Stephon Welsh for Arkansas. Welsh and Beverly now in that back court for Stan Heath's team. And you'd think with this smallish lineup, they do everything in their power to get Hill or Hunter the ball. Shot clock under 10 again.
Crawford's got Hill. That's a real mismatch.
Beverly made a nice adjustment. Boy, he's got tremendous upside, doesn't he, Patrick Beverly?
He's an outstanding player. He's in almost all the categories the Southeastern Conference lists every week.
Just got that Chicago panache to his game that you really have to enjoy. Out of Marshall High School in Chicago. Perry, baseline. That ball deflected by Hunter. Got a piece of that one as well and tipped it in. A lot of credit to Sheree Thomas for helping Perry keep that one alive.
Good effort by Thomas, because he got it up over Hill and he got it up over Hunter.
Yeah. The lead is 6.
Kentucky doing a lot of switching outside on defense. Perry picked up Welsh on that switch with Bradley.
Arkansas got the lead up to 14. Razorbacks have allowed Kentucky a chance to get back in it, and they turn it over again here as Weems gets the offensive foul.
Take a look at this again. Another block charge down underneath. Yep. I think a little bit of a shoulder that time by Sonny Weems is what caused that player control foul to go against him.
Well, that lower shoulder will always get you tagged, won't it?
You know, Tim, it's interesting. At least to this point, Kentucky's smaller lineup has had a real effect on Arkansas. It's gotten them back in the game after being down double digits. They only trail by 6 now with a chance to whittle a little bit more off of it.
Thomas, Crawford, Perry, Jasper, and Meeks. The 5 on the floor for the Big Blue. Hill, he's a load, isn't he? Defensively, Perry. Oh, the iron unkind. Out of bounds to Kentucky. Well, you could just sense that Sheree Thomas wanted to take Hill, and he simply couldn't. He had to give it up.
Hard to take on the conference's leading shot blocker. Zone defense by Arkansas out of the out-of-bounds play. Good ball.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Couldn't finish it, though.
And the rebound cleared by Beverly. All the way down Weems. Oh, Sonny. Sonny, one so true. Foul committed by the Razorbacks. This one will go against Hill.
Watch Beverly deliver the pass to the left side, and Weems goes straight to the ring. Boy, that's a pretty play. Good pass by Beverly.
And Kentucky's defense didn't do a bad job of getting back. I mean, it was as though he was shot out of a cannon.
Well, he just outran them.
14 for him, 5 of 6 for Weems. Sheree Thomas runs it down, gives it up to Ramel Bradley.
Nice play. Again, Thomas keeps it alive and gets them the basket as Bradley hits.
As you said, Larry, Ramel Bradley needs to pump it up a bit more. He's almost automatic. He's got a good feel today. Just has not had as many opportunities to pump it from the perimeter.
Kentucky with another switch that time. Did a lot of that on the perimeter. Bradley got beat.
Beverly, yes, and wave it off. Defensive work that time. Nicely done by Jody Meeks to pick up the player control foul. We played 8 minutes plus here in the second half. Kentucky down by only 5. 49-44, Arkansas leads it by 5. Fans follow our coverage of SEC basketball all season long by logging on to lfsports.com to check out the Toyota Info Center. The Toyota Info Center on lfsports.com, your online destination for coverage of SEC hoops.
And Tubby Smith has made a change. Randolph Morris back into the lineup. Probably the message has been delivered. You better guard him or you'll be back over here with me again.
Today's game featuring Arkansas, brought to you in part by Gulf States Toyota. Well, much of that message, Larry, was delivered silently. He assumed his position towards the end of the bench.
Here's where he helps, though, right here. Boy, he cannot make a basket inside. That's about the 3rd shot that he's had roll off here today inside. And when they're close shots.
Yeah, and Darian Towns was checking him. No double team. Arkansas's ability to check Randolph Morris without doubling down has been to their advantage. 9 minutes gone here in the second half.
Arkansas wants to look to Hill, too.
Pop out to Welsh. Off the back rim, Sheree Thomas with another rebound. It's been a quiet day for Crawford. Poor pass. He was thinking a cutter was going to be there, but not so.
Right now, Jasper out front on Irvin. Irvin with a little bit of a quickness advantage, and they go inside.
Towns. Hill on the offensive glass, kept it alive just enough. Welsh rejected by Morris.
Good defensive position that time by Randolph Morris. I don't think he touched it as much as he deflected it and maybe altered it.
Bradley.
Oh, what a move by Bradley.
Yeah, indeed. The more assertive he becomes, the better Kentucky's chances.
And again, he got it over the 6'10" Towns and the 7-foot Hill.
Gary Irvin back on the floor along with Welsh. There's the dump down to Hill. Towns, that's a foul.
Oh, they're going to say he was shooting.
Oh, they are going to say it was a two-shot foul. Jasper picks up the personal, and that is a break. I don't know that he was shooting the ball.
Look at Bradley here. With the left hand, he protects the ball with his body, gets it high enough off the window so that the two shot blockers from Arkansas can't get it.
Jasper's first. Towns was pretty wise to make it appear as though he was shooting once he got tagged by Jasper, which got him to the free throw line. Jasper now leaves the game. Jody Meeks, the Georgia freshman, comes in, averaging just under 20 minutes a game. Jody Meeks of Norcross, Georgia.
Also in for Kentucky, number 13, Bobby Perry.
Bobby Perry relieves Sheree Thomas. Towns gets one of them to fall, and it's 50-46. 9.5 remaining from Fayetteville. Tim Brando, Larry Conley, happy to have you with us. Crawford.
How about that?
Well,
he's been silent all day long, and just when they needed him, he delivered.
He took some shots early, Larry, but had not looked for his shot since really midway through the first half. He's now got 11, but he took 4 of his 5 shots in the first 10 minutes of the game. Weems with the dump down. Morris picks up the foul. Fans, log on now to lfsports.com for a chance to join us at an upcoming game as part of the AT&T One of the Crew contest. You and a guest could win a VIP trip to a basketball telecast. Go behind the scenes with our broadcast crew. Check out lfsports.com for complete rules and details. Beverly.
How about the answer by Beverly for Crawford's 3? Beverly comes back with a tray.
11 on the game for him.
Oh, boy, they are making threes now. This is what they did to Tennessee the other day in the second half.
The Razorbacks led by as many as 14. Irvin on a blow by against Bradley. Rejected but fouled by Ramel.
Foul charge to Ramel Bradley. His first or second.
Jody Meeks comes into the game. Razorbacks by 1. 8:28 remaining.
Well, Kentucky's really made a strong comeback here in the second half. Both of these clubs have been on runs. Look at that block by Morris.
I think he got the message. Meeks all the way to the other end.
Terrific block by Morris, instigated that break. Kentucky's back on top.
How about that?
Arkansas's got to get their composure back.
They gave up an 18-point cushion, many will remember. That's a hook by Hill. Offensive foul. Finishing games has been a problem.
Well, Tubby Smith told Randolph Morris, if you're going to play, you're going to have to defend. Well, he did. You can see the move by Darian Towns didn't work, and the finish at the other end by Jody Meeks. Good run out on the break, but a better defensive play by Randolph Morris.
Tubby Smith's team really dictating tempo here in the second half. Hill gets into a passing lane.
Well, that was good defensive work by Stephen Hill that time. Morris was waiting for the pass instead of going to meet it. And Hill just stepped in front of him.
Larry, I'm beginning to wonder, with Charles Thomas not available for today's game, Towns and Hill, particularly those two, are playing a few more minutes than they're accustomed to play.
You think they may be getting a little tired?
I'm beginning to sense that Hill, who's an outstanding defensive player, is getting fatigued. There's Towns. Now Vincent Hunter will spell Darian Towns quite a bit, but Hill is logging a lot more minutes than he's accustomed. Here comes the Arkansas crowd rising to attention. Morris by Hill. Nice move.
Well, he's done that several times today to Stephen Hill. And Hill has done it several times to him.
12 points for Randolph Morris. I think we both thought this could be a one-possession game. I think we're headed that way.
Right now, Towns wants it down inside, as does Hill.
Oh, nice work by Bradley.
Those quick hands.
Ramel with the pilfer. Perry with the putback that doesn't fall. Bradley kept it alive for Meeks for three.
How about that? I mean, instead of getting a 2, they get a 3 out of it on 2 point-blank shots inside.
Stan, he's going to get a timeout. You can see Hill. He's doubled over. He is tired. 51 needs a break. 6:18 remaining, and Kentucky out to a 4-point lead. Well, immediately following our game, second half of our All-Tell will feature a split schedule. Some of you will join Dave Baker, Cliff Ellis, and Gainesville. Number 1, Florida, will meet Tennessee, who are second in the SEC East. Others will join our friend Charlie Alexander and Joe Dean Jr. They'll be in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, host South Carolina. You'll either get Tennessee, Florida, or South Carolina, Alabama. Check your local listings for the game in your area. An outstanding double dose of SEC basketball. See Dan Hitcher, one of the fine assistant coaches, once a head coach at Stetson, Akron, on the staff now with Stan Heath.
Tim, I want to go back to your point and talking about Stephen Hill and a fatigue factor that may be settling in for this big 7-footer. You might be right about that because he doesn't play a whole lot of time. I mean, they get him in and get him out of there in spurts. And today he has played a lot of minutes.
Yeah, he averages 20.8 minutes a game.
Exactly.
And, you know, Charles Thomas, one of those guys that can really give him some extra time on the bench, keep him fresh, allow him to run the floor the way he would like.
Meeks and Bradley have become pests out there today.
They have. Arkansas's problems of late against Kentucky, and they've lost the last 7 between these two, have been in the inability to finish games. They've had leads. They've not been able to hold on. Irvin, with the shot clock at 1, had to throw it up, and Crawford brings it down.
Again, good defensive work by Kentucky that time. Forced Arkansas to run the shot clock down to about a second, and they got a bad shot, Arkansas did.
Vincent Hunter is checked in during the timeout. Morris over Hill. Oh, the iron ever so kind to Randolph.
That's about the extent of his range, and it rolled in there. Tubby Smith now asking for his defense to do even more.
This is an Arkansas team that was looking to get to 4-4 in conference play. Did not need to surrender another loss. They were defeated by Georgia earlier this year. Gary Irvin got a timeout before the tie ball. Heads-up move by the veteran Gary Irvin.
Tim, I got to tell you something. This is a rule I want to see changed. You cannot call a timeout if you're on the floor with the ball. You got to be standing with the ball.
Ole Miss's lead is 12 over the Auburn Tigers, and of course Auburn coming in with a half-game lead at 4-4 in the SEC's Western Division. Memphis blowing out SMU today. Georgia Tech holding on to that lead against Clemson. Boston College doing the same to Virginia Tech. Arizona walloping Washington, and Wisconsin just underway against Northwestern. Well, the faithful here in the Ozarks know how important this game is. The first sellout that they've had this year. Tubby Smith's team is coming in, having been down at 1 point by 14, reclaimed control of this game with defense. And a real turning point came when he decided to go small and went away from Randolph Morris. And then when Morris got back in, he had gotten the message. Beverly a floater, not there. Meeks runs it down. Jody Meeks all the way to the rack.
How about that speed? Oh, he filled that right lane, and no one from Arkansas could catch up. He put the afterburners in on that one.
Yes, he did. 63-55.
What a turnaround for Kentucky.
The Razorbacks offense again looking a bit confused. And those perimeter jumpers that did fall in the first half for Welsh need to fall now for Stan Heat's team.
Well, that was a big shot right there for Arkansas. Walsh was deep in the corner to make that one.
Well, you talked about the junior league. Crawford, Bradley, and Morris, they're all out there now, and this is when they can really show how good they can be. Morris.
He short-armed that one a little bit.
Blow the lid off the Bud Walton Arena if they score here. Just over 4 minutes to play. Big possession for the Razorbacks. Turnaround Towns.
He's done it on both sides on that baseline. Darian Towns very adept at receiving and fading away with that little jumper. Now Arkansas is back again. Another run by the Hogs.
Bradley.
Oh, what a shot by Bradley.
The junior league. Hello. 66-60.
Well, that is just a killer if you're on the other side. I mean, you got things going your way, and all of a sudden he rises up and nails one. Steal by Meeks.
Yep. That was a lazy pass, and Stan Heath's going to get a timeout. Just that quickly. The Wildcats. Those denials of wing passes lead to easy buckets on the other end. And don't forget, coming up on Wednesday night, a split schedule of games. Some of you will head to Lexington as Tubby Smith leads these same Cats against Trey Kelly and the South Carolina Gamecocks. Others will return here to Fayetteville. Stan Heath's Razorbacks in the Wild Wild West take on front-running Auburn. You don't want to miss any of the SEC action. Kentucky hosts South Carolina. Auburn visiting Arkansas this Wednesday, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Check your local listings for the game in your area. Tim Brando, Larry Conley. This is the time is now for Arkansas. They let one get away against Georgia. They desperately need to hold serve and play well the last 3 minutes here.
Well, they've had a couple of runs today, and it gave them that surge, that 14-point lead that you talked about. But all of a sudden, Kentucky has just come to the forefront. Tim, you mentioned it. It's their defense that's really carried them. And the defense has converted into offense, and they've made some good long-range shots, particularly Bradley. When they needed some shots today, he has nailed a couple of big ones to give them some momentum.
And just in the last 3 or 4 minutes, too, Larry, you've noticed that Arkansas had become a bit fatigued, and Hill is out of the lineup right now. And, of course, that's a guy that's an eraser down low. If you're trying to get back into the game with your defense, you really want 51 out there.
Well, checking the foul situation right now, Kentucky's only committed 14 fouls. Arkansas has committed 6, so Kentucky will shoot the 1-and-1 from this point on. Kentucky's got a couple of fouls to give if they want.
There you see our reset. Arkansas going small. They're going to look for some turnovers now. Towns, the biggest player on the floor. Here's Beverly all the way to the rack.
Oh, it's going to be a blocking foul.
Yep, against Perry. As Patrick Beverly took it strong to the basket. 3:01 remaining. Kentucky nursing an 8-point lead. Should be quite a finish when we return to Fayetteville. It's our Alltel SEC Game of the Week. We hope you're enjoying it here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Tim Brando, Larry Conley. Today's game being produced by Roger Roebuck, directed by Dave Burchett. We have been entertained to really a game of spurts. Both teams, Kentucky early, then an Arkansas response. They had a 5-point lead at halftime. Got the lead up to 14 at one point early in the second half, and then a huge run by the Wildcats, really keyed by their defense. Larry, that's the changing defenses of Tubby Smith. Here's Beverly with vital free throws with just over 3 to play. Well, we update our reset. You see only 5 fouls committed by Kentucky. The next by the Razorbacks put the Wildcats at the free throw line in the bonus.
Trapped by Arkansas. Good idea. They need some stops right now.
Stephen Hill is back on the floor for the Razorbacks, number 51.
You're in Kentucky. You don't want to get too conservative right now. You've still got a lot of time left.
Oh, that's a walk by Bradley. Gary Irvin induced it. Timeout. A two-possession game, 68-62. Wildcats after these messages from your local SEC stations.
The Alltel SEC Game of the Week has been brought to you by Alltel, by Ruby Tuesday, by Chevrolet, and by the new AT&T.
Calling the Hogs here in Fayetteville. Razorbacks down by 6. They do have possession after the turnover. On the floor, Beverly along with Weems, Gary Irvin, Stephon Welsh, and Darian Towns. So Hill better defensively on the bench. Towns trying to keep it alive over Morris. Excellent offensive rebound. He's trapped. Nearly turned it over and in fact did. Great defensive work by Bradley. Falling out of bounds coming away with that pilfer. And a foul committed by Welsh.
Well, here's the situation for Kentucky right now. They're going to get a chance to make a lot of free throws. And I indicated in the first half they have shot them very well their last 5 games at a 77% clip. Well, they're going to get a chance to make more right now. And Joe Crawford is going to be the first one to step to that line.
61% on the year. And Hill, as we mentioned, the aforementioned offensive and defensive substitutions with those two probably be made much of the rest of the way by Stan Heath. This is one of the shortcomings really to Joe's game. You would figure he would have a better percentage than 61%.
Looks like he had a lot of confidence on that one. This is a guy that Kentucky really will have to depend on a lot going down the stretch in this month of February. And as we get into postseason play,
he's got to be their number one option, doesn't he? If they're going to develop into the kind of team that people in Lexington have come to expect, he's got to be the number one option. Beverly all the way to the rack, high off the window, and he gets the roll.
Pretty play. Beverly actually beat Meeks, the other freshman.
Well, that should be 10. It is. Morris late getting over. That's just court awareness or lack of it by Randolph Morris.
Yeah, but Kentucky didn't seem like they were in a good position to even get the ball past the line. The wrong people out there with the ball. Why would Morris be the last guy handling it?
Good point.
When you've got a 10-second count coming up.
See if Arkansas can take advantage of the turnover. Well, a double pick.
Look at a tie-up.
Yeah, jump ball arrow to Kentucky, which is crucial with 1:46 remaining. We should have a few more tie-ups before this one's over. Morris leaves the game. Bobby Perry checking back in.
This is a good idea, I think, by Tubby Smith. Now he's got 5 guys out there that can handle the basketball. He's not going to get that 10-second call again. If you're Arkansas, you got to start to think foul. Thomas almost fell down.
Meeks runs the baseline and jams it home.
Good recognition by Kentucky that time. They had 4 players Arkansas did around the ball. Nobody watching Meeks on the baseline.
Beverly again, this time out of control. That's a player control foul. 4 against Beverly.
He really had nowhere to go. Watch again right here. Kentucky's got him shut off. He has nowhere to go with that basketball. Once again, a good job defensively by Jody Meeks.
Yep. They know that the Razorbacks want to score in a hurry and then begin setting up their traps on defense.
Arkansas's got a foul. They got a foul.
Bradley.
Well, the time's going off that clock.
Yes, indeed. Finally, they get the foul. That's a push. It'll go against Beverly.
Foul charge to Stephon Welsh, his second personal foul.
Second foul against Welsh.
9 for Arkansas.
Stan Heath calls over his contingent. Ramel Bradley will be at the free throw line. And again, a reminder, South Carolina, Alabama, or Tennessee, Florida. Check your local listings in the game in your area. Bradley, 85%, number one in the Southeastern Conference at the stripe coming into today's game.
And if you're a Wildcat fan, isn't this the guy you want at the line right now? You bet. Can't say enough about the play of Meeks in this second half.
Oh.
Offensively and defensively, the freshman has played very well. Coming off of an excellent game against Tennessee this past weekend when he had 16.
Tubby Smith takes a timeout. That lead up to double digits now, 74-64. And many here at the Bud Walton Arena hitting the gates. Let's take a look, Larry, at our Red Lobster nothing but net shot of the game.
Well, it's going to belong to the freshman that we just talked about, Jody Meeks. Nice catch here. And a good finish as Hill tries to come to block the shot, but the freshman got to the ring before Hill could get to the ball.
Tell you, Jody Meeks is a special talent. We mentioned he's was a two-sport star. He ran the anchor leg on the 4x100 team at Norcross High. As an outstanding long jumper. Many believe he could contend for international honors in that particular event. Tremendous athlete and basketball player.
I credited Meeks with a great second half, but I got to give Kentucky's defense a lot of credit. Every one of their guys, and particularly the small lineup, played really well for them down the stretch.
It's a textbook Tubby Smith win. Weems. I think a lot of times there's the run out to Crawford. Irvin back there to commit the foul. It's really overlooked by a number of people just how well Tubby Smith manages a game. And his changing defenses were proactive, which turned Arkansas into a reactive team. Even though Arkansas got that lead all the way up to double digits, up to 14 points, you never thought Kentucky was out of it because of their defensive capability.
I want to stress the point and go back to that change of the small lineup. I really think that was probably the most dramatic effect that Kentucky had in the second half to what looks like to be another win for the Cats.
Yep.
I thought going small and getting Morris out of the lineup when he wasn't defending Hill was one of the key second half maneuvers by Tubby Smith.
And it was after Morris was really beaten badly on a baseline drop step by Stephen Hill.
Crawford misses 2 free throws.
An opening for the Razorbacks, but they need to score in bunches. Beverly for 3. That's one down.
They got a foul right away.
Irvin picks it up, and again, Bradley, the wrong guy.
Well,
would
it's
like
the right
to foul.
guy for Kentucky.
Yes, it is. The wrong guy if you're the Razorbacks, that's for sure. But there's little else really that Gary Irvin can do. You've got to stop the clock as soon as you possibly can.
And it's not by accident that Bradley's got the basketball in the last minute of play here.
Ramel Bradley in the first half, Larry, was 1 for 4 from the floor. And I believe after his first 3 in the second half, you mentioned you'd like to think he would take more shots. Well, he did. 5 of 9 from the floor, 14, make it now 15 points with that free throw here in the second half.
He's been one of those guys that's been a difference maker here for Kentucky in the second 20 minutes.
Well, you think about it. Bradley did his job, Crawford as well. And even though there were a couple of moments there when Randolph Morris had to be, as they say, sent a message, he delivered the goods when he got back into the game.
And also, you know, we talked so much about the front courts of these two clubs this afternoon before we started the game, but it's really been the guards that really have dictated the difference in this basketball game.
Don't forget, coming up on Wednesday night, of course, we've got more action coming your way immediately following this game today, but South Carolina at Kentucky or Auburn against Arkansas. And as difficult as this loss is to swallow for many of the Razorbacks faithful, 4 losses is still leading the West. Just as was the case for LSU when they lost at home to Alabama the other night. Somebody's got to win this division, and it might be at 500 or just over that. And then you begin looking at those victories out of conference.
Preston Cranford into the game now for Arkansas.
76-67, Cranford number 22, setting that pick for Beverly, a runner. And his all-floor game always gives a team a chance. Hill looking to foul Meeks, and does, with 37.7 remaining. That's 4 fouls on Stephen Hill.
His 4th personal foul. At the line for Kentucky with 2 shots.
A lot of Kentucky players out there are going to be able to pad their average if they can make free throws.
He hasn't taken that many, but he's certainly made his fair share, as Meeks. $15 for him. This contingent of young talent assembled by Tubby Smith, none really rated higher than, say, mid-30s by recruiting analysts. There's another 3 by Beverly. This is a good group of young talent that will serve Tubby Smith well over time.
How about Beverly with another 3-point field goal? It's my first chance to see Beverly live. I've watched Arkansas play a couple of times on television, but I got to say one thing. Patrick Beverly is everything that I expected to see today.
Ramel Bradley back at the line as you take a look at the outstanding people that helped deliver you this broadcast today. Again, our thanks to Roger Roebuck, Dave Burchett, and our entire Lincoln Financial Sports team. Lead back to 8 with 29 ticks left. Welsh and Beverly, that's been the story. Beverly does draw the contact. Foul will go against Kentucky. Sheree Thomas.
Tim, one of the things when you look at the standings right now, and obviously Kentucky going to 17-5, but they go to 6-2, which is now the midway point for Kentucky, and I think they're in great shape.
Absolutely.
Now.
We were talking about this earlier. I really believe the SEC should expect 6, possibly 7 teams in, but you couldn't say that a team was a lock other than Florida at this stage, you know, as we get into early February. Now I believe Kentucky is in that category with Florida. It would take a complete collapse, which you would never anticipate. And this team is just playing too well on the defensive end of the floor not to win more than they lose in the second half of the conference race. Meeks and Ramel Bradley gets it. That's the 5th foul on Stephen Hill. I do believe he ran out of gas today, Larry. I think with about 5-6 minutes left in the game, not having Charles Thomas was a problem for that shoulder injury. I'd like to welcome those of you that we're only going to get our second game of coverage today on our All-Tell SEC Game of the Week, which is Tennessee and Florida, or Carolina at Alabama. Tim Brando, Larry Conley here. Kentucky fighting from 14 down. Has taken a 6-point lead with 21 seconds left. Stephen Hill having fouled out, and Ramel Bradley back at the free throw line.
It's been a great second half comeback by Kentucky. They've had everybody out there who has been on the floor today contribute, but none more so than Bradley and Meeks, the freshman. Bradley, the junior. They both have been terrific today.
Bradley, 24 points, 22 in this half. That's a career high. Beverly. Bradley pulls it down, and that should secure it.
That might do it.
17-5, 6-2 in conference play, and a broad smile from Ramel Bradley. Stan Heath's team drops to 14-8, 3-5 in the SEC. Larry enjoyed it.
All right, Timmy, it was fun.
Oh, let's see another one. Okay. You've been watching Lincoln Financial Sports exclusive coverage of SEC basketball. More to come here on Lincoln Financial Sports.